So I'm just going to edit this photo, right? Sometimes I just feel like not making a video in which I explain everything. Sometimes I just feel like editing a photo. A lot of you will probably skip through this first part of the video. Feel free to do so and annihilate my average watch time, but let's see what we can do with this. I'm just going to casually change this. I'm not going to walk you through the modules. I'm just going to do whatever I like. I'm actually doing quite well. Thank you for asking. And I haven't rehearsed this either. So basically everything that you see will be done on the go, right? So let's open up the color balance RGB one, because this image definitely needs more contrast. I'll crop it later, but it needs more contrast and it needs more saturation. So I'm going to change that. Let's have a look. I'm going to add in some contrast right here. I'm going to add in more chroma. I'm going to add in more saturation. And I'm also going to open up the midtones a bit. I'm going to drop the shadows. And I'm going to the four ways as well. I'm going to, let's say, decrease the shadows. And I'm going to up the power. All right, let's see a before and after. Take a snapshot. Here's the before, after. Yeah, that looks a lot better already with just one module. Wow. Okay, now let's go back to this step, deselect the snapshot. I do think it's too red for my taste, so I'm going to drop down the reds in the color zones. I'm going to drop down the chroma of the reds, which are over here. There we go, before, after. That looks better. So it won't really draw the attention there, because before it was just too red for some reason. And now it's not, but it's infecting the entire image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a mask. And in this case, I'll just grab this one and make a small mask around here. Blur it, feather it. Let's have a look how this mask looks. Yeah, that looks great. Now let's close this one down. So here's a before, here's an after. That looks great. Now I also want to emphasize the bird rather than everything else. So in this case, I'm going to use the tone equalizer module. I'm going to activate that one. I'm going to create a mask again, which I'm going to draw around the bird. And the fun fact about this is you don't have to do it very precise. Just grab the outlines of the bird, because we will be feathering and blurring it out. A feather, blur, and then let's deselect this. And that happens when you don't prepare a tutorial. I forgot the highlight, so I hope you were able to follow along. All right, this is minus 2.3. The bird is minus 0.8. Okay, so I'm going to drop this down and I'm going to drop this down. But rather than the bird being affected, I want something else to be affected. So I'm going to invert the mask, and that looks so much better. Now it definitely needs some feathering and blurring, because you see some halo around the bird. And maybe this is too much, so let's adjust that. There we go. Gives this image some nice contrast. Now I still don't like how this tree looks, because it still draws too much attention due to the highlights. So let's grab an exposure module. Let's create a new instance. I'm going to drop the exposure, but I'm going to create a mask again, because yeah, that's like the red lines of this video. A mask around the tree. And I'm going to drop the exposure, feather it, blur it, and then let's change the mask opacity as well and the contrast, so that the attention doesn't get drawn to this tree as much better. So now the attention is on the bird. Now let's also sharpen this bird. So for that, I'm going to use the diffuse or sharpen module. If you want to learn how this works, I've made a separate video about that, so be sure to check that one out. I'm going to place the iterations on 4. Going to increase the radius span as well. And now I'm going to change the third order speed. You can use the fourth order speed as well, but the effect will be much more dramatic. Now, obviously, this doesn't look good, but we can counteract that with the edge sensitivity and increase the edge threshold. Now let's see a before and after. So here's a before, here's an after. The bird is more sharp and that looks better. Right. What else can we do with this image? Well, we could crop it, but I won't. I like how this image looks, and let that be a lesson for everybody. Never over edit your images, right? Okay. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Doei.